Zimbabwe has just made an important decision. It rejected the cooperation proposals from 8 European and American railway companies and finally chose to reach an agreement with China. The two sides signed in Beijing a railway cooperation with a total amount of up to $533 million. According to the agreement, China will help Zimbabwe carry out a comprehensive reconstruction and upgrade of the country's old railway system. This is a key step that the country has taken in basic transportation infrastructure in decades. Now, many people are full of expectations for this project. They believe that with China's help, future travel will become more convenient, safe, and efficient. In today's video, I will explain what this $533 million railway cooperation means for Zimbabwe and why they are willing to choose to trust China. If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. In southern Africa, there is a country called Zimbabwe. When it is mentioned, the first impression that comes to many people's minds may be that country which once fell into severe economic crisis and hyperinflation. Especially around 2008, the Zimbabwean dollar almost overnight became worthless, becoming one of the countries with the highest inflation rates in the world. Prices soared, the currency lost its function of circulation, and many people's lives fell into extreme hardship. Even today, Zimbabwe is still regarded as one of the poorest countries in the world. But what many people may not know is that Zimbabwe was once one of the richest countries in Africa. In the 1990s, relying on a strong agricultural system and abundant mineral resources, Zimbabwe exported a large amount of minerals and agricultural products to the global market every year through Mozambique's Beira port and South Africa's Durban port. At that time, Zimbabwe's railway network was regarded as the model of transportation in the whole of southern Africa. The highest annual freight volume once reached 12 million tons, and it was one of the important pillars of the regional economy at that time. With the passage of time, due to a long lack of maintenance, coupled with outdated and aging equipment, this railway network has since lost its former glory. Through checking information, we found that at present the annual freight volume of Zimbabwe's national railway is less than 3 million tons, only 25% of its historical peak. Most of the main railway lines are overgrown with weeds, and locomotives have long been out of service, making it difficult for bulk commodities such as minerals to be transported out in time. And due to backward infrastructure, Zimbabwe's logistics costs account for as much as 18% of GDP, almost twice the global average level, which has seriously weakened the competitiveness of its mineral resources that should have had an advantage. But now, Zimbabwe has made up its mind to make a change. In September of this year, Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa visited Beijing and signed with China Railway Company a railway modernization construction agreement worth $530 million. This cooperation was not a temporary idea. As early as 2024, the two sides had already signed a memorandum of understanding, then quickly completed a feasibility study, and finally determined that a subsidiary under China Railway would take the lead in construction. This company had previously participated in railway construction projects in many countries, such as Nigeria and Kenya, and was very familiar with Africa's geological environment, construction conditions, and operational needs. And China also took into account that Zimbabwe's current external debt exceeds $13 billion, and that it has been in debt default for more than 20 years, making it impossible to obtain loans from multilateral institutions such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. So this time China adopted the form of loans for cooperation, which effectively reduced Zimbabwe's financial pressure. And this railway cooperation agreement worth $530 million is also not in the simple sense of patching up, because China needs to carry out repair and reinforcement of all the old trunk lines and bridges covering Zimbabwe, and also needs to help Zimbabwe upgrade the traditional signal system into a more advanced digital intelligence system. The new system can greatly improve train scheduling efficiency, reduce operational delays and safety accidents, and make the management of the entire railway network more intelligent and efficient. In terms of equipment renewal, the project plans to purchase 17 brand new locomotives and 209 modern freight trains, as well as to rebuild 5 modern stations, and to build for Zimbabwe a modern logistics system that supports higher transport capacity and smoother operation. And in this cooperation, advancing the upgrade and transformation of the Bight Bridge to Harare Key Trunk Line is undoubtedly one of the most anticipated parts of the entire project. This railway corridor, with a total length of 566 kilometers, is so important because it directly connects Zimbabwe with its largest trading partner, South Africa. Bight Bridge itself is an important border port for Zimbabwe to South Africa. At present, due to road congestion, backward railway conditions, and high dependence on road transport, cross-border logistics often encounter delays, which seriously affect transport efficiency and also increase operating costs. Once the new railway is completed, the transport time is expected to be shortened by about 30%, providing a faster and more efficient channel for the cross-border transport of mineral resources and other goods. When freight capacity is improved and enterprises' logistics burden is reduced, Zimbabwe will have stronger competitiveness in the Southern African Development Community market. But what is strange is that this is a project that is beneficial to both the country and the people of Zimbabwe. Yet there are always some Western countries that jump out to criticize, saying that China is creating so-called debt traps for African countries, turning infrastructure into a burden that crushes the economy. So, why are they so opposed to the expansion of China's influence in Africa? In fact, the West has long been hyping the so-called Chinese debt trap, mostly out of consideration for its own interests. Because for centuries, Western countries plundered natural resources in Africa. Even though the colonial era has ended, Europe still acquires Africa's minerals and energy at low prices through various economic and political means, and even influences the development path of African countries. And once Africa achieves economic rise and industrial upgrading, it means its independence and autonomy on the international stage are enhanced. This naturally also weakens the West's influence and control over Africa. For example, the Ethiopia to Djibouti Railway Project. At that time, both China and European railway enterprises participated in the competition. When providing loans, European enterprises attached a series of political and economic reform requirements, and even proposed additional conditions involving human rights. But what China provided was a financing method without political preconditions, which eventually prompted Ethiopia and Djibouti to choose China as the partner. At that time, some European enterprises criticized that China's loan agreement lacked additional conditions, had low transparency, and was a debt trap. But later, it was not as they said. Because after the railway project was completed in 2016, it connected Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa and the port of Djibouti, shortening the land transport time that originally took several days to about 12 hours. Ethiopia's resources could be exported to the international market more efficiently, improving the trade efficiency of the two countries. And this time, with China participating in Zimbabwe's railway construction, some European enterprises still made an issue out of the so-called debt trap. But the Zimbabwean government does not care about these accusations, and instead the whole country has expressed welcome for the launch of the project. Many people feel excited because they believe in China's capability in infrastructure construction and also believe that once this railway is completed, it will truly improve their lives. For Zimbabwe, this $530 million investment is even more the starting point towards the future. Zimbabwe has long been known as a treasure house of resources, with more than 40 proven mineral resources, among which lithium, platinum, chrome, ore, and gold hold important positions globally. But for many years, restricted by insufficient railway transport capacity, a large amount of mineral resources could not be transported efficiently, seriously constraining industrial development. It is easy to imagine high-value minerals such as lithium and chrome already extracted, but because of the backward railway system and poor transport, they could only pile up and stagnate in the mining areas. For a country that relies on mineral exports, this is a very real bottleneck. And now, Zimbabwe's mining sector has proposed a goal of achieving $12 billion of output value by 2030. To achieve this goal, upgrading the railway system is a key step. At present, minerals such as lithium, chrome, and coal account for nearly 40% of Zimbabwe's export revenue. And after the railway upgrade, transport efficiency will be greatly improved. For example, the transport time from Harare to Mozambique's Beira port will be shortened from 14 days to 7 days, and costs will be reduced by 35%. And the sea transport cycle for copper exports to China will also be shortened by about 15 days. This will directly benefit Zimbabwe's mineral cooperation with other countries. But you may also wonder, why does China want to help Zimbabwe in this way? And what exactly is the purpose behind it? Many people may not know that China is actually the largest single investor in Zimbabwe. In mineral resource development, agricultural production, industrial manufacturing, and other fields, China has invested a large amount of funds. Especially in mineral mining, Chinese enterprises had already entered Zimbabwe a few years ago, directly participating in the development of nickel, chrome, lithium, cobalt, and coal resources. In addition to capital investment, China has also provided Zimbabwe with more than 5,000 instances of talent training and aided the construction of many hospitals and schools. Therefore, China is also regarded by Zimbabwe as one of the most friendly partner countries. In addition, the reason why China attaches so much importance to Zimbabwe is also to a large extent out of the consideration of Africa's overall layout. Zimbabwe is located in southern Africa and is an important node connecting multiple countries, including Angola, Mozambique, Zambia, and other resource-rich and high-potential economies. By investing in railways and other infrastructure in Zimbabwe, China can help it accelerate the circulation of resources and can also further promote economic, trade, and logistics cooperation with surrounding countries. From a broader perspective, this series of investments is also China promoting connectivity in Africa and providing support for the Belt and Road Initiative to take root in southern Africa. Through the extension and interconnection of the railway network, China can expand its influence in Africa. To not miss out on our future projects and news updates, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We will continue to provide you with more exciting and interesting content.